but it is another episode of Tarot by Hilary Live. I am your hostess with the mostest, Hilary of tarotbyhilary.com, professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friend, don't argue with me. You have intuition. I firmly believe that everybody has intuition. So on tonight's episode, before we wrap up the month of December, because there will be no show next week on Friday, December 25th, we are finishing up not only the month, but the year with a workshop on Yule, which is what I celebrate instead of Christmas. So, you know, when I say happy holidays, I do truly mean happy holidays. That's what I do. You know, I'm not I'm not purporting to be against Christianity or the war on Christmas or whatever. Happy holidays is something that I say to people because I want to be inclusive to everyone instead of, you know, making people feel bad by like, oh, it should be Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas. It's just like, no, there's a lot of holidays that are celebrated around the winter. So I'm choosing to extend my hopes and blessings and wishes to everyone. So in that spirit, and hello, Katie, welcome to the broadcast. Hello. In that spirit, we're going to be talking about the holiday that I celebrate as a pagan, which is Yule. So I'm going to give you a whole bunch of information about Yule in general, some of the ways that me and my coven and my pagan community celebrate Yule, which may be a little bit different than how you celebrate, and that's fine. And if you're watching live, welcome, and I would love to hear how you celebrate Yule if you happen to celebrate. If you happen to be here and you are of another religion and you're just here to educate yourself, welcome, and that's awesome, and I applaud you for doing that. So let me put on some lip balm because my lips are very chapped right now. Speaking of winter, and I'm also trying to get in a little bit of a festive mood here because it's been a heck of a week, and we'll talk about that at the top of the episode by looking at the Astro-Biz Digest from Teresa Reed, aka the Tarot Lady, so that we can figure out what has been going on in the astrology of this week to make it so crazy in my world. And I'm also celebrating by drinking. I'm gonna butcher the name. Why Finer Vitas. I just call it Vitas. This is a very nice beer, Weizenbach beer that we discovered at a, I think it was the Mamaroneck Beer Festival a couple of years ago. So cheers and good health to you, wherever you're tuning in from. So if you are new to the broadcast, I do this every Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we cover different topics such as tarot, of course, divination, astrology, witchcraft, paganism, magic, spellcasting, pretty much all of the oracle cards, Lenormand cards, different types of divination systems, Ouija boards, spirit boards, charm casting. And we have a year's worth of archive videos and episodes for you to check out if you're new to the broadcast, and go ahead and check that out. And I'm always happy to revisit topics that we've already covered and also talk about any new topics. So if you have suggestions for episodes for the upcoming weeks and 2021, please feel free to drop me a line. Let me know. You can either drop them into the chat here, wherever you're tuning in from, whether it is on YouTube, and you found us on YouTube or on Facebook, drop it into the chat or feel free to email me. And I would love to hear your thoughts. Okay. Speaking of YouTube, let me make sure that we are broadcasting correctly to YouTube, considering some of the peeps that usually show up on YouTube haven't commented yet, and I want to make sure it's not because of any difficulties on my end. So give me a second here. And I'm not going to be using our little Jeopardy countdown timer because I realized that there was like copyright infringement going on and they were flagging me on YouTube just for my quick usage, my 30-second little timer with the Jeopardy theme. They were like citing as that as problematic. So I'm not going to be using that anymore. It's cute, but I also don't want to deal with the hassle of copyright infringement. So, all right. Okay, it looks good, guys. All right, very meta, guys, very meta. But it looks like it's working properly. So if you were tuning in via YouTube, we welcome you as well. So here's the structure if you are new to the episodes. We start off at the top of the episode with consulting the AstroBiz Digest from Teresa Reed, aka the Tarot Lady. So for the astrology, because I am not an astrologer, I am a tarot reader. She is an astrologer. I always make sure to go to the experts when I don't know about a topic. So astrology, I know just enough to be dangerous. So I'd rather leave it to the experts and cite expert sources. Then I usually teach our topic. Tonight's topic is about Yule, different celebrations. What is Yule? What time of year Yule happens in? What food do you eat? What do you do? Why is it so important? Why is it special? And then at the end of the episode, I will leave you with the weekend forecast, which is usually pulled from either the tarot or an oracle deck that I'm working with. For this month of December, I have been working with the wonderful, beautiful Scorpio Sea Tarot by Maggie Stiefvater with text by Melissa Sinova. You may recognize Melissa Sinova's name because she is one of the co-hosts of the Card Slingers Coast to Coast podcast that I am also a host of. So, and I actually switched over my Scorpio Sea Tarot into this pouch right here, which I got from Ipsy. And this is Melissa's fault as well. Me signing up for Ipsy, which is like kind of like the Stitch Fix of makeup. She warned me about that, but she also said, you can use these makeup pouches as a tarot deck pouch. And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. So this was October's Ipsy, and it just says your magic on the back, and it has this kind of like astrology, makeup, evil eye protection kind of thing going on. So I was just like, I'm going to use this for definite as a tarot pouch. So I will be using the Scorpio Sea Tarot for the weekend forecast at the end of the episode. So if you are tuning in to expecting a free reading, you can get the astrology at the top of the hour, and you can also get your free reading for the collective at the end of the episode. So stay tuned till the end of the episode. Personalized readings don't happen unless you pay for them by booking an appointment at tarotbyhilary.com. That's me. Let's talk. Okay, I think that's enough of the administrative aspects of the episode, and let us get into the astrology from today and the weekend. And also, if you've been having a difficult week, like me, keep in mind that we are broadcasting this live. I record this live. Currently, this episode is Friday, December 18th at around 6:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you've had a difficult past week and you kind of want to know, well, Monday was really bad for me or Wednesday was really bad for me, let me know in the chat. And I can go back to the AstroBiz Digest for that particular day and give you the astrology for that day and maybe help you make sense of why that day was so difficult for you, okay? But usually what I do is I do the astro-weather for today, for Saturday, and for Sunday. So that's what we're going to do. Sound good to everyone? Let me know in the chat. I'm going to take a little bit of a hydration break. And let me pull up. Actually, I'm not going to go to a separate tab. Where is my iPad? Let me pull it up on my iPad. Oh, Lisa's here. Hi, Lisa. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's been crazy, right? So Lisa says Wednesday and Thursday, and to a lesser point today, was really, really bad for me. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's start out with Wednesday then. We're going to do something a little bit different tonight then. If Wednesday and Thursday and Friday was bad, let's talk about that. Let's get into it. Hold on a second here. Come on, Gmail. Because, yeah, like about midday yesterday into today until the end of today was really, really crazy for myself and my husband. Like, I don't know. It was bonkers. I don't know what was going on. Oh, okay. And Katie's also saying Thursday was not good for me either. All right. Okay, folks. I gotcha. Teresa's gotcha. We'll take care of this. So let's start with Wednesday. I have a feeling it has to do with, is it just Sagittarius energy, or was it that I feel like there was it a solar eclipse? I don't know. There was something astrologically that was very big going on that I didn't really pay attention to it, and I probably should have paid attention to it. And this is the reason why I'm paying for it now. Let's see. Okay. Where is my labels here? Come on. Look at my labels. Oh, that's not what I want to do. All right, I'm just going to have to search by astro. Okay. Okay, weekly forecast for December 14th through the 20th. Bonkers. That's right. Solar eclipse in Sagittarius on the 14th, which signals a new beginning. Solar eclipses bring drama on the world stage. So that's talking about like Monday, folks. And that was when the Electoral College was voting too. So it was just like, woo, there's just a lot of stuff going on. All right. Let's go. Okay, so let's start with Wednesday. Wednesday, productive brainstorming can happen first in the morning when the moon sextiles Neptune at 5:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ideas can turn to tangible products then. Remember, there is like kind of an entrepreneurial slant to the AstroBiz Digest, so like remove that from your vocabulary if that's not working for you. The astrology is still solid. Ideas can turn into tangible products then, so be sure to jot down any flashes of inspiration you receive. Momentum gets stalled and power struggles arrive when the moon squares Mars at 10:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so this is where the hiccups start, folks. This is not the right time to get into a war, negotiate a deal, or try to force an issue. Wait until 2:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when the moon is conjunct Pluto, a hot spot that brings the willpower to muscle through any conundrums. And tomorrow, big stuff is on the way. Power day for Capricorn, weak day for Cancer. So that's Wednesday. All right, with me so far. Thursday, Saturn will enter Aquarius at 12:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Read the info above. The scopes to learn more about this important transit. Okay. Saturn into Aquarius. I'm looking. Yes. Now on to the big news. Yeah. Saturn will be in Aquarius on the 17th. Saturn is the traditional ruler of Aquarius. Uranus is the modern ruler. So it's at home here. This transit favors building structures around innovation, technology, and the collective. If you want to serve humanity on a grander scale, expand your network, or create your community, you've got 3 good years to make that happen. So it looks like Saturn is in Aquarius for 3 years. So different planets are in different signs for a different amount of years. Sometimes for some of the outer planets, there's a longer time period, so time period of years. For the planets that are closer to the sun, it's a quicker time period. For example, like Mercury retrogrades happen 3 to 4 times a year because Mercury is so close to the sun. It's a quicker time frame. So yeah, you've got 3 good years to make that happen. Saturn and Aquarius. I would also recommend considering upgrading your tech gear and your website. These activities will strengthen your business and keep you moving to the future. And so that is the big news for Thursday. I'll sweep back up when I need to. The moon will also slip into Aquarius at 1:27 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, putting the focus on innovation, technology, and community building. This will be an excellent few days for outreach, particularly in online spaces. Strengthen your network and your business will be better as the new year looms, and your life too. The moon will be sextile with Venus at 5:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there is a lot of stuff going in the early a.m. hours on Thursday. Another hotspot for PR. If you want to see those holiday sales, boom, do not skimp on your marketing today. Just watch out for the Moon-Uranus square at 1:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a bunch of squares going on here, huh? This brings out the trolls galore. Skip that party and keep on doing your own thing well into the evening. While they troll, you roll. Thursday was a power day for Aquarius, weekday for Leo. Everyone with me so far? And is this starting to make sense a little bit? Because now we're going to get into today, and then, of course, tomorrow and Sunday. Maybe my personal astrology was just off today because it was like really, really bad today. But it seems like astrologically, according to AstroBiz Digest, it was kind of nice and clear. So I don't know. Skies are clear today. Yeah. Yeah. Katie says definitely weekday for Leo. LOL. I felt that weakness way too much. Yep. 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 Okay. So Friday, today, the skies are clear today, making this a marvelous one for another big holiday sales pitch. Well, I mean, I'm kind of doing that, even though this is a free workshop about Yule, it's still kind of putting me out there. So keep that stuff blitzing all day. A sextile between the moon and Mars at 5:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is most excellent for online promotions or cool events. So I hope that this is a cool event. Host something special for your crew and make everyone merry. Trying to do that. Power day for Aquarius, weekday again for Leo. So let's see. Yeah, so Thursday and Friday are both power days for Aquarius and weekdays for Leo. So, Katie, sorry. And let me see, where's Pluto at here? Two days later, so 17th. Oh, so that'll be Saturday. So we'll talk about this for Saturday. Saturday finds the moon in Pisces at 7:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, signaling a weekend best spent on self-care. I am fine with that after this week. If you insist on working, be gentle and kind. Folks may be feeling burnt out on the holiday stuff and election news. Hi, yeah. Jupiter rolls into Aquarius at 8:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check out the info above the scopes. Okay, so 2 days later, Jupiter will enter Aquarius too. So that will be Saturday. Jupiter expands, which means your network could grow in the upcoming year. Wishes and goals can materialize. Opportunities to expand your reach will be present, especially online. There's no better time to upgrade your online presence or your website. This is also a fantastic year for good work, group work, both online and off. So I don't know how long Jupiter will remain in Aquarius. I do know that Saturn is in Aquarius for the next 3 years, but I don't know if Jupiter is just the next year or more than that. Okay. Folks are less spendy at 5:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when a Moon-Venus square hits a sour note. Even though the rest of the evening is decent for sales, expect a slump around dinner time and take a break. Get back into the saddle when the cosmos strikes friendly notes starting at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There is still time to get in those last-minute weekend sales before the holiday arrives. Sunday is all clear for the most part, so if you insist on working, put your energy into creative ideas and promotions. Mercury will march into Capricorn at 6:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Hold on. Let's see. Communication takes a serious turn. You'll want to be a total pro in every situation, even if the other side isn't acting the same. Ugh. All right. Okay. Set firm boundaries as needed and be sure to enforce them. So remember, folks, we have done previous episodes, not one, but 2 episodes on boundaries. So you may want to check that out in the episode archives. Because Sunday, we're going to need to set those boundaries and enforce those boundaries. This is also a stellar period for business meetings and negotiations. Schedule in the most important ones now, and you'll be ready to nail 2021. I feel like I'm living in a science fiction novel at this point. That we're finishing the year 2020 and we're moving into the year 2021. It's very weird. All right. Shut everything down for real when the moon conjoins with Neptune at 6:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, an aspect better for dreaming or long hot soaks in the tub, maybe both. Both days, Saturday and Sunday, are power days for Pisces and weekdays for Virgos. I'm sorry, Katie. A little bit longer, you're in a weekday, and then Saturday and Sunday, it's no longer as weak a day for Leos. So sorry, my Leo friends. So that is the Astro Weather from Teresa Reed. Again, I take all of these from the AstroBiz Digest, which is only like $99 subscription for the year. And I don't think that rate is going up for next year. So it's like $2. I think it's like $2 a week. So I think you'd be crazy not to get it because it's really, really helpful. I found it very, very helpful, not only in planning my tarot business, but also just in my personal life. Yes, it has an entrepreneurial slant, but it's also been really, really helpful personally to look at the astrology and see what's going on there. So that is the astrology. A lot of eclipses, a lot of squares. It's starting, so things are starting to clear with the start of this week. With the solar eclipse in Sagittarius on the 14th, it starts to clear things up after a rough astrological year and just a rough year in general. But you know what? When eclipses happen, things do start to clear, but it's not exactly smooth sailing right away. So maybe this is like the week to kind of like get our footing again, and maybe next week will be a little bit smoother. Just saying. All right. Are we good, everyone? Are we ready to talk a little bit about Yule? That was a lot of astrology. So how cute. This is a new widget. The snowfall widget. Oh, I like it. I'm going to leave it. Yes, so definitely. Katie says we can hope for sure. We can definitely hope that next week is going to be a little bit smoother, especially with the holidays coming up. So we are going to talk a little bit about Yule this episode. And remember, so Yule, what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about from my own perspective. Some of the traditions that I do with my coven, with my pagan community. As always, in the immortal words of my friend Ethany, take what works for you and leave behind the rest. Okay. Isn't that a cute widget? Yeah, I'm just noticing this now. So Be Live just keeps on adding different features, and I really love it. Hold on a second here. Let me move up my sticky note widget. Oh, and Bridget's here too. Bridget, when did you sneak in here? Enough snow, LOL. Yeah, I mean, we didn't get really hit that bad here in southern Westchester, but actually, it's interesting. My where I went to college actually got trended on Twitter for the amount of snow. And when I was going to college there, like we were in the snow belt, so it didn't really matter much. Like classes were almost never canceled due to the snow. So I think they got like 41 inches there, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, I'll turn off the widget in a second. I just thought it was cute, but enough snow. All right, fine. I'll move it. Actually, I'll turn it off after we stop talking about Yule. How about that? It's a compromise. So let me pull out some of my books here. So I have a couple of books here that I wanted to read from about Yule in general. And then if you want to ask me questions about some specifics about how I celebrate Yule, what we've done in the past to celebrate Yule, happy to answer those questions. But like briefly, Yule is the longest night of the year. And it becomes after Yule, after the winter solstice, the days start to become lighter again. So instead of approaching Yule from the perspective of, oh, we're getting into the dark part of the year, in actual fact, we're actually going towards more sunshine, brighter days, longer days. So we often talk about Yule as the holiday of the child of promise, the return of the light and bringing back the lights. And there is some conjecture on this point, but there have been studies done where for Christianity, Jesus is said to have been born in the summertime, not the winter time. So it feels almost as if there was a correlation of Jesus's birthday to correspond to pagan holidays already being celebrated about the child of promise. I mean, quite frankly, who would be better? The Christmas story or Jesus's birth? What better story of the child of promise but that, right? So they might have moved Jesus's birthday to this time of year in order to coincide with pagan celebrations about the child of promise and the coming of the light. Right. So snow update here in the city is now icy slush. I already sprayed oh no. Bridget, I hope you've got your ankle elevated there and that you're, sorry, icing it. Ooh, too soon. At least the widget doesn't do that. Exactly. Safe, pretty snow, no cold, no accidents. Yes, this is a safe version of snow. I'm going to have to show my husband this after the episode. It's so cute. I love it. Honey, there's a widget with snowfall. It's super cute. I'll have to show you later. He's always fascinated by the different tips and tricks and, this third-party app that I use for my episodes. So It makes me look very professional, but in fact, it's just Be Live. Be Live makes me look like a rock star. So that's very quickly the overview about Yule. It's the coming back of the light. It's the child of promise. It's about community. It's about remembering the light inside you during the cold winter days, knowing that the darkness of the winter isn't going to be forever. I know Katie's saying sneak hubby in. Yeah, he doesn't want to be on camera right now. Maybe eventually, but we'll see in 2021 if he wants to, be brave and come on camera. He has his own things that he does, so I'm not going to force it. But, Mr. Tarot by Hilary, I like to say in jest. So more about Yule. So from this beautiful book called The Real Witch's Craft from Kate West, we're going to talk a little bit about winter and the Sabbats, and also remembering that paganism is based on the earth. It's based on nature, and making sure that nature is revered and nature is protected as well. I mean, it's the earth. We need to take care of it because it's our home. It gives us sustenance. It produces our food. We build shelters from the materials that we gather. So we need to protect the earth, because if we only have one earth, like talking about science fiction and living in the future in 2020 and 2021, I don't think we're at the point where we're colonizing other planets a la Firefly yet and terraforming. We're not there yet. And I hope we don't have to get there, because we've just mistreated the planet so much that there's nowhere else to go. So the root of paganism really is about deity worship, and it's about nature worship. It's about making sure that we are in cycle with the seasons. So most of the Sabbats that I talk about, and I can do workshops for all of the 8 Sabbats of the pagan wheel, the wheel of the year, as it's called. But all of them are going to be tied to the season that they're associated with. So, for example, in the Southern Hemisphere right now, we are at the opposite point in the wheel of the year, because seasonally speaking, they're not where we are. So it wouldn't make sense for them to be celebrating Yule at the same time that they are celebrating their summer months. They're probably celebrating midsummer right now, such as Beltane, such as Letha. I think with Yule, I believe they're celebrating Letha right now, if memory serves. If you're from the Southern Hemisphere and you're watching this right now, please go ahead and correct me, or correct me whenever you're watching it. I make mistakes too. So they're experiencing the opposite season right now. So it wouldn't make sense for them to be celebrating the same Sabbath as the Northern Hemisphere. Does that make sense to everyone? Let me know in the chat. So for winter, winter is the season of rest and withdrawal. Again, citing from The Real Witch's Craft from Kate West. This is the time of reflection and of turning inwards. Our thoughts are more often of our hearth and home and of our near and dear. These energies can be used to enhance aspects of review, rethinking, and renewal. Carry out self-assessment and work divination to determine your direction for the year ahead. Work magic to help those around you to make the best choices and decisions. While there are not many spells which can wait for the right season, seasonal influences can be harnessed for the more long-term, life-changing magics we want to work. We can also use the energies of each season to empower a magic if we design the spell with these energies in mind, perhaps by putting the emphasis of the spell onto the aspect most suited to the season. So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's the same kind of concepts of astrology. You want to work with the astrological influences that are happening currently rather than working against them. This is the reason why I say Mercury retrograde gets a really, really bad reputation because people are just like, oh, does that mean I can't do anything or go anywhere or get some forward momentum when Mercury's in retrograde? Not exactly. But Mercury retrograde is a time of revisiting, recycling, renewing, reviewing. So it's almost as if wintertime is like the Mercury retrograde of the seasonal aspects. You want to reflect. You want to take stock. That is what the season is for. It doesn't make sense during a Mercury retrograde to be pushing forward because that's against the astrology that's going on. Same thing for seasons for the winter. It's not a time to get up and go out there because the season and the weather is like blanketing the snow. It's a time of introspection. It's a time to rest. I read somewhere that snow is actually a very necessary thing in order to renew the fertility of the land. Snow becomes this blanket of incubation and allowing the ground to rest so that when the spring comes and planting can happen, the land or the ground is prepped for it with the snowfall and with the thawing of the snow. That makes sense to everyone? So it's just like, oh, snow sucks. But it's like, no, snow serves a purpose, just like the winter season serves a purpose, just like the spring, the summer, the fall. They all have a purpose. Let me know if that doesn't make sense or makes sense. And actually, I actually have a very funny story about Yule and the goddess that came through for Yule in one of our rituals that we did for Yule. Let me make sure that I have, okay, my bookmark. So my community would hold public rituals. And in my community, we do trance prophecy. We have someone that is a trained seer take the chair and bring through a goddess. For some reason, we at Yule would do whichever god or goddess wants to come through would come through. It's almost like a wheel of fortune, who's going to come through for Yule. And oftentimes we would get signs of who would want to come through a couple days before we would actually do the public ritual. And so one year there was the goddess Hel came through, or Hela, and she was talking about fracking in her area of the world. And we actually looked it up a couple days later to verify, even though, it's not nice to question sometimes, but at the same time, we kind of wanted to see, like, what was she talking about? What specifically was she feeling? And in her area of the world where she is worshipped, or where she originated from, we did find out that there was fracking going on in that area. And she was talking about, like, my earth is being broken open, like you're breaking me open. So it had a very specific reason why she came through at Yule, because there were efforts to frack on her land and harm her land. So she came through during Yule. Another time, and this is the reason why I want to emphasize the Sabbats are connected to the seasons, is because we were... there are certain Sabbats that are tied to certain goddesses. Now, my goddess that I'm in training to become a priestess of, Bridget, her time is Imbolc, which is usually around February 2nd. She came through during Yule, and that happens to be a very, very warm December. So that made me think she's waking up early. She might think that it's Imbolc right now because it feels like Imbolc right now. It feels like the spring is the world is starting to awaken, much like it would in the spring. I think she might have been fooled by the weather that we were having. And the weather that we were having was happening because of humans' impact on our earth, on our environment. So that's another example of Sabbats tied to seasons. Yep. Great. Great. So let me just display that. Makes sense to me. Nature works together for definite, for definite. So, okay. So for Yule, Yule typically happens around the 20th to 21st of December. Sometimes the date will change, but it's around there. December, the winter solstice. This marks the moment when the days begin to lengthen and the nights to shorten again. It is the time of the rebirth of the sun. Whilst in many parts of the northern hemisphere the temperature is still dropping, this is nevertheless a time of reborn hope and optimism. The energies of this festival can be used in magic for changing entrenched habits and attitudes. So you can feel the sense of the new year within Yule. A remnant of this can be seen in the New Year's resolutions, which are made today. And that's all said about Yule right here. So, even if you do decide to use the Sabbath's energies in your magic and spells, it is also worth making a point of using them as times of reflection on the passage of the seasons and on each festival's place in the wheel of the year. Like there are eight Sabbaths of the year, seasonal festivals, and they were times of celebration rather than for working of magic. However, you can still incorporate spells and magic. Having said that, many witches prefer to keep their Sabbaths as times of renewal and reflection, only working magic at them when it is really essential. So it truly depends on you and the energy that you're feeling at this time of year as well. The Sabbats are divided into two groups, the major Sabbats of Samhain, Imbolc, Beltane, and Lunasa, and the minor ones, which are the spring and autumn equinoxes and the winter and summer solstices. The former are linked to agricultural cycles and would originally have been timed by events in nature. Later, they were assigned dates, but as these were in the old calendar, they would have fallen some 11 days earlier than the ones we now use. The latter are associated with the movements of the earth around the sun, and while they have been given set dates, which I've included, if you intend to use them for magical purposes, it is better to seek their actual timing. So look, like timing the equinoxes, look at a farmer's almanac, or you can look it up online to find out the exact dates and times. So there is a lot more than just what is said in this book. So I wanted to give a little bit of a tie-in to tarot, as usual. As always, this is primarily a tarot workshop that I do every week. But we have another great book here called 365 Tarot Spreads by Sasha Graham. And so this gives, and she also has another book called 365 Tarot Spells as well, which I have somewhere in my pile of books. But I wanted to emphasize this because for December 21st, she gives a Yule 4 Sacred Directions spread. The Yule log is burned on the eve of the solstice. Pagan goddesses were once worshipped in the log, later incorporated into fertility and protection spells. So you can use ashes and charred bits of wood were kept until the following year. So you can take a little bit of that from the Yule log and work it into your spells. And also keep it for burning in the next Yule log in the following year. So it's like almost taking the energy of that Yule log, putting it into the new Yule log, and having it being a cycle of renewal. So this Yule Forge Sacred Directions spread is based on the Wheel of Fortune card because the 4 cardinal directions are seen in both the Wheel of Fortune card and the World card, where creatures are depicted in the 4 corners. So Yule occurring between December 20th and December 20th or the 22nd. So like I said, You don't really know which date it is until you're looking at the year or looking it up. But I believe it falls on the. I know my coven is celebrating it on the 20th this year. We were supposed to be celebrating it this past weekend, and for various different reasons, we've moved it back to the 20th. It's a modern Wiccan Sabbath falling on the winter solstice, and also an alternative way to celebrate Christmas by recognizing its pagan roots. It is also known as a Nordic pagan festival. In the dark nights of winter that we turn inward, cultivating the wisdom of the high priestess, you can use this tarot spread. This tarot spread makes use of the 4 sacred directions, and you can use, I believe it's 8 cards in total, casting 2 cards to the east, 2 cards to the south, 2 cards to the west, 2 cards to the north. So east would be associated with air and swords, south, fire and wands, west, water and cups, and north, earth and pentacles. Now, if you have your designations of water in the east and air in the west, like my coven does, because we're East Coast based, so it doesn't make sense for us to be pulling water from the west when we have the beautiful Atlantic Ocean in the east. You can switch up these designations. That makes sense to you, however it makes sense to you. So the east would be what is new, fresh, and exciting in my life, and what is the best direction for me to take. South, what should I celebrate, and what can I share? West is what can I let go of, and how do I slow down? And north is what can my dreams teach me, and what do my elders want me to know? So let me show you that. There we go. Can you see that? Let me know if you can see that. And you can always pause the video if you're watching the replay. And thank you to Sasha Graham for providing this wonderful book, 365 Tarot Spreads. So, and this is a really great book if you want to try and do a tarot spread every single day. Besides doing a card of the day practice, for example, daily, you might want to try doing a tarot spread daily and following along with this book, because it has 365 tarot spreads, one for each day of the year. For example, for May 28th, the Freedom Spread, because Amnesty International was born on this day in 1961. So they all have associations with that date. Those are how the tarot spreads are created. Awesome. Great. So there's a way to tie in tarot. Also, I'm not quite sure where the root of this is, but the winter solstice is an excellent time for divination. It's a good time for divination. So I really encourage you to do divination around this time of year, especially if you're looking to, if you're starting to think about like how you want your 2021 to be, what kind of resolutions that you want to set, and really taking stock of the year 2020 before moving into the next year. I mean, like, there's a lot of people that 2020 has been a dumpster fire for them this year. For me, I mean, it's been bad. I'm not going to lie about that, but at the same time, I haven't lost, like, knock on wood, I haven't experienced some loss that comes with 2020 and the pandemic. I still have a full-time job. I still have money to spend on presents for people. They're probably not going to come in time, but that's okay, because the mailing system is pretty packed right now. But there's so many things to be grateful for, and I don't want to minimalize or make people feel like 2020 was a great year, because I don't believe that. But at the same time, If you're watching this right now, you're probably in a pretty good place, much better off than a lot of people in the world. And so that attitude of gratitude, it still can be there. It still can be affirmed. And, I'm not going to say it was a great year, but at the same time, for 2020 for me was definitely not the worst year in my life so far. Yeah. So, but now is a good time to be taking stock and seeing what you can do or how you want to manifest 2021 in such a way to bring the things that you want to you and, get rid of the old or move forward from the past. This is another thing that's a great thing to do during Yule. We have some celebrations that go along with that, like gift giving, manifestation, the thought of like the Christmas tree. We've had in the past different rituals. We've had like a little Christmas tree or a bush that we would do ribbons of red, of white, of green, and we would make wishes and we would put that energy into the ribbon and then we would tie the ribbon to the tree. So by the time the end of the ritual was over, we had this beautiful tree full of everyone's wishes that we would then someone would either bring it home with them and keep and tend to so that the wishes would grow. And then we would probably ritualistically burn them in order for the wishes to go out into the universe, into the new year. So that's an example of one Yule tradition that you can start. If that makes sense to you, if you like the idea of that, you can definitely do that. Another tradition that we've done in past rituals is recognizing the child of light, the child of promise, the light within us, especially during the cold and dark months of the winter, remembering that light still exists and that it will be, just because we can't see it doesn't mean that it's not there. So for this example, we would take tapers and then we would light them from the candle that was on the altar that represents the god and the goddess. And we would take that light from the altar, and then each person would light each other's candle around the circle until the entire room was full of light. And we would acknowledge that light within us. And then the people would take home those tapers from that ritual. And we would tell them, relight this taper whenever feeling low, whenever you're feeling dark, whenever you feel that light dissipating, or when you need that light, you can light this candle and remind yourself of this moment, that your community is there in spirit. So this is a collection of some of those tapers that I've collected from those rituals. And so when I'm lighting candles for ritual or just lighting candles because I want to light a candle in my living room, I would just light from the tapers. I would light the taper and then I would light the candle from one of these tapers. So in doing that, you're bringing that energy through the year. And you're reinforcing that energy through the year as well. So I'm seeing that some people are having lagging issues on Facebook. For that, I apologize. It all looks fine to me. But if you want to tune in over YouTube, that's a suggestion that Katie's giving. So I'll pull that up here. Hold on. Yeah, I'm experiencing a little bit of lagginess too. Maybe it's because of the snowfall widget. I don't know. It's super cute, but it might be causing lagging issues. So let me turn that off. So here's Katie's suggestion. If you're having issues, pull it up on YouTube where it's working fine. YouTube channel is YouTube user Hilary_tarot. That's Hilary with one L. But we're almost done with the workshop. So that's another example of a tradition that we do in my particular community. Also, food. So I have a couple of recommendations for books that you might be able to get. I don't know if you're still able to get these two books, and if you can't, my apologies. But you should look into Dawn Hunt, whose company is Cucina Aurora. So she's very much a kitchen witch, and she has a company that does different spoons, cutting boards, and different oils that are infused with magic. So we have, we actually bought one that's like rosemary, and I think it's for prosperity. So I think you can just look it up, Cucina Aurora. Actually, I'll look it up for you and I'll put it into the chat. Dina's here. Hi, Dina. It's okay that you're late to the party. It's fine. That's what the replays are for. Don't worry about it. So this is one of Dawn's cookbooks, Cucina Aurora. So that's the name of her company, Cucina Aurora, right there. And I will put the link into the chat, but it's just cucinaaurora.com. So this is the collection from one of the first collections she did. But she starts off with winter. And talks a little bit about kitchen witchery. So although we want to celebrate the goddess by doing ritual barefoot outside every night, our lives tend to get in the way. But no matter what, we all make time to eat. Kitchen witches are able to take this everyday necessity of food and turn it into ritual. By using the recipes in this book, you will see how to create celebrations of the goddess every day with the meals you create. So a kitchen witch is anyone who has ever said a prayer over a meal. She is anyone who has ever thought of the smiling faces of her guests when they taste the dinner she has made. He is anyone who has ever put love into a surprise meal for his sweetheart. A kitchen witch puts intention into the foods that they eat and share with others. And when we put our intentions into the foods we eat, we are thereby physically taking in the energies we have put out. So there's some recipes in here for the different seasons of the year. So she starts out with winter, though. In winter, the earth is sleeping. She wraps herself in blankets of white and crystal as she sleeps the season away. Our homes become those warm, comforting places in the cold of winter. With holiday festivities and gatherings around fireplaces, winter holds a quiet wonder that we can appreciate over a cup of hot chocolate. Think of the coldest night you can remember and how in your mind's eye a bowl of hot soup warmed you to your bones. This is what a winter kitchen symbolizes and embodies: comfort, warmth, and sanctuary from the frozen world outside. So recommendations for a winter kitchen: sprigs of evergreen on the windowsill, holly-scented candles on your altar, leafless twigs remind us of how the world is sleeping outside and helps us to appreciate the season. Candles, luminescent warmth. If you have a fireplace, light a fire in the fireplace. I wish I had a fireplace. So she has a couple of recipes in here, but with each recipe, she puts like an incantation or a note about the magic that goes along with these recipes. So like foretelling lentil soup, heartwarmer sandwich, feasting meat, sweetheart swirl cheesecake, Yule mint chocolate cookies. And I know my husband is not listening to me right now. Otherwise, he would have perked up on that. He loves mint chocolate. That's like one of his favorite things. So this would be like create a ritual around this ornamental frosting by asking children to help. Be sure to explain that the green is symbolic of the evergreen tree in the snow storm, adding color to the Yule season. So pretty cute there. Yule mint chocolate chip cookies. I'm taking notes here. So much of kitchen magic comes from how we feel when we are creating in the kitchen. In the winter, our kitchen magic tends to revolve around the holidays. The smell of freshly baked cookies takes us back to a place when we believed in holiday magic of many different kinds. As you mix the ingredients, make each person helping mix, make them make a different holiday wish. So there's a lot of recipes in here, actually. Powerful party potatoes, energetic stuffed bread, roasted onion potatoes, bacon pastry triangles. I'm getting hungry here. Sweet dreams, acorn swash. And so, like, think about the meals that you put together during a holiday season. Like, why do we eat turkey for Thanksgiving? Why do you have ham for Easter? Why do you have, and I'm sorry for the vegans, or the vegetarians listening right now. But like, why do you make the meals that you do during the different holidays? You do it because it's tradition, but there is also a magical element to it. And also the repetition makes the magic and the energy of that season or that ritual stronger. So it's not repetition because it's boring. It's repetition because repetition makes the magic stronger. Does that make sense to everyone? So there's another book that Dawn did, and I will put the link to, let me do that right now. Otherwise I'm going to forget. Like, I am getting so hungry right now. And she has a new cookbook out. A Kitchen Witch's Guide to Recipes for Love and Romance. So, all right, I'm putting that in the chat. Should be able to be displayed both Facebook and on YouTube. So that's the website, just displaying it right now. Katie is saying, my family used to do that with Christmas cake mix. Every family member had to stir the cake and put New Year's wishes into it. Nice. I love that. So you see, like, you can see the correlations here, and especially in Christmas or holiday or winter traditions that are family related. They don't necessarily have to be magical or have that label of magic to be magical. I mean, like, there are some things that my family does that are tradition that can definitely be called witchy and magical. But if I use that label with some of my ancestors, like my grandmother, she would probably not be very happy with me, or she would be like, no, that's superstitious. And it's just like, but you're still doing it though. Like, for example, my family's English, so I'm first generation American. They always would give a horseshoe to a couple getting married, and they always, like, every single person, like, and so now when I go to a wedding, I'm usually giving a horseshoe in conjunction with their wedding gift, or finding something on the registry. But that's just something we would do. Is it superstition? Absolutely, it's superstition. Would my family think of it that way or think of it as magic? Probably not. But it's a label. You don't necessarily have to have that label in order for it to be considered magical or spiritual. So Dawn also has this book. Again, my apologies if these books aren't available, but it looks like on the Kachina Aurora website, there's a bunch of stuff that is available, including some of her recipes and her oils infused with magic. Definitely her oils. Ooh, Black Label, porcini and white truffle, magical meals, gift sets, sampler packs, the Conjure Collection starter kits. I'm sorry, I'm getting like really, really hungry, guys. Really hungry. So in here, from Tastes from the Temple, Kitchen Witchery from the Temple of Witchcraft, produced by Copper Cauldron Publishing. So I don't know if it's necessarily available or not. There's a ton of recipes for comfort foods, heirloom magic, pantry magic. So probably the entire comfort food section would be good for winter and for Yule. Witchy entertaining as well, libations, sweets. Like there's and there's vegan recipes in here too. So there's something for everyone in here. Between the Worlds curried pumpkin soup. So some of these are not just Dawn's recipes. This is also from the Temple of Witchcraft community. So these are member contributed recipes as well. And magical notes to go along with all of these recipes too. Yeah, I'm looking here. Also, keep in mind, so this is bibliomancy at its finest, folks. On occasion, and so this is from Dawn, on occasion when I teach a class on kitchen witchery, there will be someone in the group who claims that they are a terrible cook. Guys, by the way, I kind of think that I'm a terrible cook. I'm good at baking for some reason. I'm really good at desserts, which should be more complicated than cooking, but I don't know. I think I'm not a great cook. Just putting it out there. So there's someone in the group who claims that they're a terrible cook. The first thing I tell them is that if one thinks they are a terrible cook, then they are right. And if you believe this, you are a good cook, you are also right. The second thing I tell them is that you don't have to be a world-class master chef to implement kitchen magic into your everyday routine. Many of those most magical dishes are made with what I like to call pantry magic. So using the things that you have laying about your cupboards and cabinets to make something truly wonderful. And I think the next recipe, the recipe on the next page is crunchy chicken fingers with honey mustard. So you can still make chicken nuggets or chicken fingers with love and with magic. So keep that in mind. Again, food is at the heart of like every ritual and every holiday as well. So does anyone have any questions about Yule celebrations? There's so many celebrations, or there's so many, I guess, symbols of Yule and the wintertime that we can get into here. So I'm kind of like all over the place with regard to those. Like, where did mistletoe come from? Where did the concept of, kissing on under the mistletoe, the tree, the gift giving, the exchange of gifts. So all of these are tied around what I've already talked about. So you can find roots of that within what I've already talked about. But if you want to do your own research and see like specifics of why we do certain things at this time of year, by all means, do your own research. Get back to me. We can always do a part 2 of this episode. And we can definitely do an episode on the next Sabbath of the year, which is going to be in bulk on February 2nd. And actually, we're probably going to do that because that is sacred to the goddess that I'm in training to be a priestess for. So any questions before we move on to the weekend forecast? Now I'm thinking about plum puddings. Awesome. Great. So Katie's saying, I'm interested in hearing more about Sabbats as workshops for later in the next year, please. Absolutely. That's easy enough for me to do, especially for the next one, which is Imbolc. So I know quite a lot about Imbolc. So I will try and plan those before those Sabbats happen. So if you choose to celebrate them, or if you choose to give a nod to them, even if you don't celebrate them, at least you've got a little bit of information prior to the celebration of them. Oh, thank you, Katie. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about other ways that we have celebrated Yule, but the general structure that we've done for public rituals has been, bringing everybody together in a circle, acknowledging, the light within us all and everything, and we would have talk a little bit. Oh, I didn't even talk about the holly. Oops, I need to talk about that. Thank you for reminding me. I knew that I was missing one portion of it. So traditionally, there is a concept, and maybe this is the root of Santa Claus, but we talk about the holly king and the oak king, and they battle. They have a ritualistic battle at certain times of year to kind of like pass on the baton for each year. So actually, let me pull up about that really, really quickly before we move on to the weekend forecast. Thank you for reminding me in somehow, some way. Okay. I'm just going to pull this up from I guess the Wicca Living website really quickly. In some Wiccan traditions, the ritual observation of the Wheel of the Year is augmented by the legend of the Oak King and the Holly King. Representing the waxing and waning of the sun as the seasons turn, the two figures take turns ruling over the year. The Oak King reigns during the light half, or throughout spring and summer, while the dark half, autumn and winter, belongs to the Holly King. As the ruler of the dark half of the year, the Holly King is named for the cherry evergreen tree whose bright leaves and red berries are a welcome sight in the cold winter months. The Oak King, by contrast, is named for the decoratively shaped leaves that symbolize the height of summer. Both trees are considered sacred to Wiccans, witches, and other pagans, and have long been treasured for their magical properties. The two kings are brothers, but also rivals, who battle each other throughout the year, alternately conquering each other as the seasons shift. The dates on which the battle is won depends on the tradition. In some forms of Wicca, the Oak King takes over at the winter solstice, while the Holly King ascends at the summer solstice, as these Sabbats are the technical markers of the sun's waxing and waning relative to the earth. In other traditions, however, have the change in rule occur at the spring and autumn equinoxes, so that the Holly King is at the height of his power at the winter solstice, when the darkness reigns supreme, and the Oak King is in full glory at the summer solstice, while the light is at its strongest. Some hold that the second version makes more sense in terms of the way the seasons are typically experienced, but both interpretations highlight the ever-changing nature of the Wheel of the Year. Although there may be times when the summer or the winter seem endless, we are always moving inexorably forward into the next season. And some Wiccans view the Oak King and the Holly King as twin aspects of the god in constant battle with each other for the love and attention of the goddess. Yeah, that's not something that I resonate with, and it's the first version that I recognize and that I celebrate. The Oak King takes over at the winter solstice, while the Holly King ascends at the summer solstice. So I'm just going to go ahead and share that to chat, but thank you for the reminder. And also we have seasonal rulers usually that help in running of the coven during each time of year. So and we always have like the winter queen or queer, or whoever's feeling the winter vibes, and then we also have the summer as well. So we have different royal court aspects depending on the season, and sometimes there are different people are different, feeling different ways, and it doesn't have to be like the holly king and the oak king don't have to be represented by men either. We've had different people representing it, just feeling the energy. So for example, like the different energies, like the oak and the holly have different energies to them to symbolize their role in the seasons. So let me go ahead and show that too. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, let me show you this picture before we move on to the weekend forecast to show you an aspect of the royal court. So give me 1 second. Didn't plan on showing this, but you're reminding me. So give me 1 second. And actually, I need to plug in my computer here. Okay. Okay. So all right. So really brief reprieve. So to show the different energies, this is a picture of myself and my best friend embodying the holly and the oak. And if memory serves, I think I was the oak. So can everyone see that? And if I look a little bit different there, it's only because we were taking a thread of that energy, a thread of that magic. So sometimes that shifts physical features. It's uncanny. It's kind of frightening if you're not used to it. So that was something that my friend gave to me as a Yule present, actually. Okay. All right, I think we are ready for the weekend forecast. Are we ready for the weekend forecast? Let me just ask that as a question first. Are there any other questions about Yule before we move on to the weekend forecast? I think the answer is no. So I will go and I will grab So for those of you who are looking for a reading, now is the time. And we will do a general reading for the collective for the weekend. So again, we are using the deck of the month. All right, we're going for the weekend forecast. So I'm using the deck of the month, which is the Scorpio Sea Tarot. What do we need to know for this weekend? What do we need to know for this weekend? That is a jumper. Oh, cute. Okay. Interestingly enough, we are getting a 6, which we talked about last week during the broadcast. We talked about the 6s of the tarot. So we have a little bit of a background for the 6s. But today we are getting, for the weekend forecast, we are getting the 6 of Cups. So what I'll usually do is if we have a really great companion book or guidebook, I will go to the guidebook first, give the interpretation from the guidebook, and then give my own interpretation. So let me pull up for the 6 of Cups. From the Scorpio Sea Tarot. Okay. So the 6 of Cups keywords are joy, childhood happiness, and delight. This is a happy card. It asks you to remember what it's like to be present and excited. Are you a frolicker? Then frolic. Allow yourself to live in the joy that's around you. These lambs are not aware of their limitations, or maybe they are aware and just don't care. They're exploring, jumping, and playing. They're moving their bodies because they can't not. Find the kid in you. Find that joy and unbridled excitement. Bring it to the front of your mind instead of the back, and figure out how to clear the filters and responsibilities away long enough to sink your teeth into joy. Silly doesn't have an expiration date. So this is definitely a different interpretation than the 6 of Cups that we talked about in last week's episode when we talked about the 6s of the tarot and the constellation of the 6s. The 6s are about distribution, about the give and take, sometimes about charity or generosity. So 6 of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith has this sense of nostalgia, a little bit of joy, but also a give and take, a giving of emotional currency or energy. This card's depiction doesn't have that. It has 6 gambling goats, I guess. Goats or sheep. What did she say? I don't remember. But either way, they're definitely happy and they don't give a damn who knows it, and they don't seem to have a care in the world. And so for this to be our weekend forecast, I think it's a really potent and necessary reminder to find the joy, to find the exuberance, even be safe, obviously, be safe about it, but also hearken back to the things that bring you joy and do them. And remember the adage, and at harm none, do what you will. So don't harm anyone when you're, living your bliss or seeking your joy, but remember to find the joy and to live it and to bring it forward. So that is your weekend forecast, the 6 of Cups from the Scorpio Sea Tarot. I hope it serves you. If it resonates for you, take it. If it doesn't resonate for you, leave it. That's fine. I am not for everyone. And remember that you're not for everyone either. And that's okay. Can't please everyone. So that's about it for this week's episode. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Even if you're tuning into the replay, I thank you. If you tuned in live, I thank you as well. Just want to remind everyone of December's schedule. So on December 4th, we talked a little bit about scheduling, and we did that. And I had a little bit of a rant about freebie seekers. You can find it in the archives. December 11th, we talked about the 6s of the tarot. That episode is available to view. And today we talked about Yule. I just want to remind everybody that there is no show on December 25th. I'm taking that day off. And I believe we will resume. I think we're going to do an episode on New Year's Day. I would say yes. So that would be January 1st is the next episode, and 2021 it is. So and as always, we do this every Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, reminder, unless otherwise noted, Noted here, no show on December 25th. So we're taking that week off, and we will resume again, I believe, on January 1st. I will send out notices to remind you guys. So Dina says, very beautiful. Thank you. Happy holidays all. Thank you for watching, Dina. It's a pleasure to see you. Even if you came in late, it's totally fine. That's what the replays are for. That's what the archives are for. I want to thank you all again for tuning in. Once again, my name is Hilary, professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friend, do not argue with me. Yes, you have intuition. Katie says, thank you. Have a good weekend, everyone. Happy holidays and see you in the new year. Absolutely, Katie. I wish best wishes to all of you. Bright blessings. Have a wonderful Yule. Have a wonderful Christmas. Have a wonderful Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, solstice. Oh, gosh. What's the other one? Festivus, Krampus, and a wonderful, wonderful new year. And we'll see you in the new year 2020.